Hello there, this is David from David Books and Comics, and today I want to do a kind of a homage presentation on Barry N Malzberg. Now, I'm not a huge collector of his science fiction, but I am a collector of men's action adventure pulp novels. Among them, of course, is the Mike Barry Lone Wolf series, sometimes mistakenly called the Knight Rider series, but really and truly it's called the Lone Wolf series. And there was a blog article that was done by Ed Gorman, and I'll put a link to it in at the end of the description in this video. You can look at it if you're online looking at this YouTube video. And you can also enjoy it just simply from your home theater. So Barry N Malzberg died December 19th, 2024. Barry N Malzberg's science fiction career began as an agent for the Scott Meredith Literary Agency in New York in 1965. And Ed Gorman did a wonderful interview with Malzberg, which I'll quote. He says, and this is from a quote from Jerry House. He says, "I've long maintained that Malzberg's portrayal of the lone wolf is one of the most brilliant in the genre. The slow build-up over the series more than pays off in the shattering finale. I'd give just one bit of advice to anyone reading the series from the beginning. Malzberg knows exactly what he's doing." Now, the quote or the article from Ed Gorman talks about a novel that he wrote called Guernica Night, published back in 1975. And the Guernica, of course, is referring to a famous painting done by Pablo Picasso back in 1930s, recounting an event that happened in 1937, where in the northern Basque region of Spain, the Germans and the fascists practically carpet bombed that whole area called Guernica. And it exemplifies much of what people understand Barry N Malzberg to be like in terms of his thinking and philosophy as a kind of pessimistic realist. And much of the story and much of the look of his realism comes through in the Lone Wolf series. So in the interview, I'll just quote something that he says. He says like this. This is a question asked by by Ed Gorman. "You wrote what you would write and sold it where you could. It's telling that at around that time you were writing Lone Wolf, you were creating one of your finest, most nuanced masterpieces, Guernica Night. I know you were a hard-working pro, but that had to be quite a literary leap." And this is Malzberg's response. "No, I felt Guernica Night was no literary leap. Same writer, same urban decay, same obsession with death as purgation, and for that matter, same style. I wrote the first 10 Lone Wolf novels beginning in January and October of 1973, then right on to Guernica Night. Felt seamless." He goes on, "As I wrote in Notes on the Lone Wolf, collected in the essay book, non-fiction essay book, called Breakfast in the Ruins, I had never read an executioner novel prior to signing the contract on Lone Wolf. I found one at the local candy store. Paperbacks were sold in candy stores, bus terminals, drugstores, gas stations in those roseate days. And I spent an hour with it. Absolutely terrible, I thought, but added, in the spirit of schmelling viewing clips of Joe Louis before their first fight, I see something. By the way, my editor George Ernsberger approached me. I had no thought of doing this series and was shocked at his solicitation. He saw something, obviously, that I had not seen in myself. And also they wanted the series on the stands at the earliest instant to take advantage of the market trend. And I was the only writer, living or dead, who could be counted on to deliver 10 novels in 8 months. So there you go. The books, which I've read, are, as he says, pessimistic with a lot of realism. Some describe it as a kind of surrealistic kind of realism. I would describe it as honest realism. And without buying into his own personal philosophy, I find the books well read, well written, and well worth the read, because they feature an evolution of a character really focused on him and his psyche. Regardless of how he feels about the incident that precipitated, that's the loss of his girlfriend, wife, Marie, that precipitated his seeking of vengeance against the mob. The books flow from one to another and goes deeper and deeper, almost like a Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. It goes deeper and deeper into the darkness and depth of humanity, when he explores both within himself and in the world around the darkness and the evil and that human beings are capable of perpetuating on each other. It is about the drug wars, but it goes a lot deeper than that as the story flows. Anyway, so I'm going to go through the books, and I'm going to go and show you another book that I've collected in the Kung Fu series, the only one he wrote. He's credited with writing others, but he only wrote the first in the 4-book Kung Fu series. This is The Night Raider, as by Mike Barry. And there you see, it's a well-read copy. And publication date is from 1973, paperback original. And he has these philosophical, poetic quotes. My works are all stamped down into that sultry mud. I knew that horseplay, knew it for a murderous thing. So there you go. That's book number 1, The Lone Wolf, Night Raider, by Mike Barry, Barry N Malzberg. The next book is The Bay Prowler, and I believe that's Steve Holland, who was used as the model for Bert Wolfe. Bert Wolfe is the lead protagonist in the story, and it features all in the back cover, if you look, all this kind of typewritten biography describing Wolfe. So, Lone Wolf number 2, Bay Prowler. Men have died and worms have eaten them, but not for love. That's Barry N Malzberg realism, a quote from Shakespeare. So that's Bay Prowler by Mike Barry. Next book is number 3, and this is a lovely copy, near a very fine copy of Boston Avenger by Mike Barry, and publication date 1973. All right, number 4 I don't have, sad to say. It's part of the fun of collecting is finding it. This is what the cover looks like of Lone Wolf number 4. Number 5 is a beautiful near mint, or I should say very fine copy of Lone Wolf number 5, Havana Hit, as by Mike Barry. And again, famous quotes. This one's from, copyright is from 1974, but obviously written earlier. So that's Havana hit. Number 6 is Chicago Slaughter. Another very fine copy. That's Steve Holland model there on the cover. Copyright 1974. By the way, that bookstore doesn't exist anymore. So that's number 6. Number 7 is this one. And this is a Peruvian Nightmare. Nice cover, lots of action. I like the kind of mystical kind of realm in Peru, where the Aztecs, I believe it's the Aztecs. So let's see what it says. Bert Wolff found himself in something called the Hotel Crillon in Lima. It was steel and glass, looked like a Hilton, and had beggars living in the eaves. In Wolff's room there was a small man who wanted you to think he was Peruvian, but Wolff figured he was German, if he was anything at all. He wanted Wolff to deliver several $1 million worth of heroin to the States. Several of the most efficient manhunting organizations in the world, a few of them legal, desperately wanted Wolff dead and knew where he was. Wolff said, "I don't think you understand." And it goes on. Anyway, just wonderful, wonderful hyperbole. All right, the next one in the series is number 8, and this is a fine copy of Los Angeles Holocaust. And this is from 1974, copyright. Alright, that's that one. Number 9 in the series is Miami Marauder. It's this one. This one has a spine roll. Number 9. And that's copyright 1974. And these are the kinds of people that he quotes. Mrs. Gordon Liddy, he feels he's being a good soldier by staying in jail and saying nothing. He feels he's serving his country. There you go. That's number 9, Miami Marauder. Number 10 is this one. It's called Harlem Showdown. And there you see lots of action, dead bodies, and all in Harlem, I guess. So that's Mike Barry, Harlem Showdown. And number 11 in the series, and this is a fine, very fine copy of Detroit Massacre. Beautiful cover, nice books. And here he is using a plunger to cause a blast. As if plungers all look like that. That's number 11, Detroit Massacre. And this one published in 1975. That's number 11. Number 12 in the series is this one. It's Phoenix Inferno. Nice cover. And there he is being shot at from overhead. Interesting cover. Beautiful. Alright, so that's number 12. And the numbering stops with this one. This is The Killing Run, and there you see ultra-violence on the cover. You don't see covers like that anymore. And the nation trembles in the cross-country surge of Wolff on the biggest warpath ever. And this one has a spine roll. good, well-read copy. All right, that's that one. And then we have the closing chapter, and literally an all-action, all-out adventure closing chapter. This is Philadelphia Blow-Up, as by Mike Barry. Climactic quest. Wolf's last spree of vengeance brings hellfire to the city of brotherly love. All right, nice copy of that. So he knew exactly where he was going, is correct, with his story. So there you go. So that's the Lone Wolf series that I've collected. I'm still looking for the fourth book in the series to read it in good chronology. And this is the Kung Fu series. This is by far the best of all of them. The other two, and this one was written, it's a novelization, and he did write other novelizations. He did a novelization story I read years ago called Phase 4. And this is a novelization of the first pilot episode, The Way of the Tiger, The Sign of the Dragon. It's by far the better one of all of the episodes, and one of the best novelizations I've ever read. And I remember reading this a few times when I was a young teenager back in the 1970s. This one I also read. This one was written by Ron Goulart, novelization of Chains, based on the episode. The episode names and writers are all here. So Paul Edwards and Gene L. Kuhn. That's Chains. That's Superstition. That's Ron Goulart, by the way, who wrote that, as by Howard Lee. And story by David Mussinger. So that's Superstition. And this one is written by a mystery writer, Lou Cameron, detective mystery writer. Praying Mantis Kills. All right, so that's that. Anyway, I wanted to look at this and just to give you a sense of how sophisticated the writing is in this. And the paragraphs are lengthy in their description, obviously following closely the script as by Ed Spielman and Howard Friedlander, basically the creators of the series. And this is kind of an opening chapter, chapter 15. And Dylan was working at the desk when the Chinese came in, getting the papers in order, now and then looking over the corner where Rafe was cleaning his gun endlessly. The man was crazy, all right. There was no doubt about it. The fixation Rafe had upon the shotgun was positively abnormal. Still, such men had their uses. They respected what obsessed them and used it well. Let him be crazy then. That was not Dylan's problem. Obviously, he goes deep into the psyche of some of the characters that appear in the story. Anyway, if you're going to see the episode, I encourage you to see it, but the book is even better. So that's The Way of the Tiger, The Sign of the Dragon. As Chuck Norris once said, David Carradine knows as much about martial arts as I know about acting. So there you go. So if you're gonna read the book, it'd probably be better than seeing the actual pilot episode. All right, so that's my look and kind of a homage on Barry N Malzberg and some of his non-science fiction stuff. And so I hope you enjoyed this little presentation, this little homage to one of the great writers of SF, but also one of the great writers of non-SF, both as an essayist and as a writer, simply as a writer. So remember to give me that thumbs up for a like, Thanks everyone for your subscriptions. All your comments are always appreciated. And again, I'll show you some, and I'll put some links to some of my favorite YouTubers I've enjoyed also. All right, thanks. Okay, bye.